Hello, welcome to episode 279 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 18th of September. So welcome everybody. I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last couple of weeks. So last week I did a little vlog on my working day on making project bags. I'm obviously doing a podcast today, and then next week I'll do another crafty vlog. I'm alternating the podcast and the crafty vlogs. So today we've got some knitting. I haven't got much knitting to show you, so I thought I'd show you some project ideas that I've seen on Ravelry recently, some really inspiring patterns, so I thought I'd show you those. I've got some progress on my crochet. I've got some sewing, but it's not something I've sewn, it's something sort of blast from the past, so I'm excited to show you that. I have a gadget for this week. I've got information on a few meetups and also a few giveaways as well, so I'll talk to you about those in a little bit, and then some information on my shop, some information on the October yarn clubs, and a couple of things that are going in the shop this week, and then of course a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? I have some Popstars blanket diamonds that Adam's mum's knit for me, Liz, because I'm getting behind on these and she's knitting them for me. So this mini set was from the June Popstars mini sets, and it was inspired by Beyonce. The first colour is sort of dark blue and mid blue, and that's inspired by the song Halo. I've got the second one is inspired by the song Crazy in Love, and we've got little turquoise and dark blue speckles on a slightly darker mid-tone of blue. I've got a pale green and turquoise, which is inspired by the song Single Ladies. Number 4 is inspired by the song Survivor, and there's all sort of pale greens in their different tones of pale green. Then we have Independent Woman, which is a light turquoise, and this last one is like a dark blue and green, and that's inspired by If I Were a Boy. So all of these are inspired by different songs by Beyonce, because obviously the whole month was inspired by Beyonce. I'm just going to try and grab them all to show you what they look like together. There we go, that was the mini set. I'm doing my Popstars blanket in DK yarn, so it's a little bit quicker to knit up, and it's also really squishy in the DK. So those aren't available anymore. So at the moment the Popstars mini sets are exclusive to the people who have ordered the yarn clubs in 2024, but I might bring a few of the colourways back in 2025. So that is all the knitting that I've got to show you, but I do have some lovely ideas for knitting for sort of more wintry weather, because I've looked on Ravelry recently and there's so many lovely new patterns, so I thought I'd mention some of those. So the first one I wanted to mention is the Deep Winter Coat by Wool and Pine, and that's a beautiful cable knitted cardigan, but that is in a bulky weight yarn, so sometimes that might be a bit thick, so I've also chosen one that's a sort of DK weight, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But the Deep Winter Coat goes from 30 inch to a 66 inch bust, that's 76 to 157 centimetres, and they advise 0 to 4 inches of positive ease on that one. But the one that is a sort of DK alternative, which I've noticed recently, is the Sunday Morning Cardigan by Yarnia Designs, and that's the pattern actually goes from 38 inches to 74 inches, so that's an even more inclusive size range. That's 96 centimetres to 187 centimetres, and they suggest 8 to 12 inches of positive ease, which is a lot, but I think it's a little bit of personal taste. You can go with what they suggest, or you can adjust it to what sort of taste you normally have. So also I've seen there's a cowl by Andrea Mowry called the Frame Your Face cowl, and it's a little bit of colour work. She suggested you either use worsted or sport weight yarn. For the sport weight yarn you only need 1 each of 200 gram skeins, but for worsted you'll need 2 main colour and 1 of the contrast colour. But it's got some beautiful, just basic shapes really, but it just looks really effective. I love that. She's been doing some similar garment versions, but I just thought the cowl was really nice. So the Paulie cardigan, that's by Amy Cristoffers as well, the same person who wrote the Ariana cardigan, which I'm going to show you later. That was really lovely. I loved this sort of geometric shapes on the front panels. That's quite similar to the sort of design in the Frame Your Face cowl, I thought, but I'm really loving that sort of quilting sort of pattern lately. So that pattern is actually written for a worsted weight yarn, yarn, which is 38 inches to 65-inch bust, or 97 centimeters to 166 centimeter bust. So that's quite a good range of sizes. So that one, that describes it as a bottom-up cardigan, where you knit the bottom and the sleeves and then you join them together and do like a seamless yoke at the top, like a raglan design. So if you don't like knitting them from the bottom up, it might not be the one for you, but I just love that design so much. I thought it'd be a nice one to pop in here. I also saw, oh my goodness, this has been on my wish list for a while, but it's really been sort of highlighted lately. It's come up on my Ravelry sort of hot right now feed a couple of times, and I think, yes, I've got to do that at some point. Is the Renaissance Sweater by Elenor Mortensen, and she's got another pattern that she's having sent to the test knitters at the moment with like Christmas trees around the neck, which I also love, but obviously that's not out for sale yet. But the Renaissance Sweater's got a lovely swirly yoke pattern, and that is in finger and weight yarn, and the size range is 32 inch to 64.4 inch bust, or in centimeters 82 to 165 centimeters. So that's quite a good range of sizes as well. And then I've got a couple of mitten patterns that I've seen that are both Colourwork. I do love a Colourwork mitten because it's just a nice little small area to do Colourwork in. And oh, I forgot to say the Renaissance Sweater is Colourwork as well. But these two Colourwork mittens by two different authors is the Lonely North Mittens by Erica Mount, is a finger and weight version. I think she might have done this with a make along at some point, but I just love that pattern. It's just so wintry looking. And the next one is the Candle Smoke Mittens by Barbara Gregory, and I just thought the swirly smoke design was absolutely gorgeous. So lots and lots of ideas for the coming winter. There's so much that I want to knit, just not enough time. So thought I'd share those with you. I might change around some of my make 27 instead of make 9 with some of these. I don't know, we shall see. I need to look back at that list and have a mess around and find out what's my priority really, because the sort of make targets at the beginning of the year, I like to have them to be quite flexible so that I can make changes according to my sort of feeling at the moment. But I do like to have a list, because then I know that I'm not going to sort of forget about that pattern. It's sort of on the list, the to-do list. Anyway, onto the crochet, and this is basically what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, and it's taken me far longer than I expected. So on the last video I showed you that I'd got all my shapes and squares together, but look, I'd got all the shapes, all the triangles and squares made up, but I hadn't joined them at all. So I've now joined all the crochet pieces together. This is not blocked, so it does not look very tidy, but you can see the potential. There is potential here. I think now that the colours have been brought together with the same edging colour, I think that's going to be really nice. So I'm very excited to finish this. I've used 492 grams of my stash so far with this one. So obviously, because I've sewn in ends and snipped them off, it might have reduced the weight somewhat. I should have measured it before I started to join them together after I'd sewn all the ends in, but the ends are completely sewn in, which I'm really pleased about. So that's the sort of inside of the cardigan there. And then you've got a V-neck. Now obviously I need to do the edging on the cuffs, around the neckline and on the bottom, but that's going to be all knitted, so that's exciting to combine those two sort of skills. I'm going to attempt to see if I can use this last 55 grams to do the cuffs and everything, but we shall see. I can't quite remember how many grams a normal cuff and the ribbon actually takes on a normal cardigan, so I'm hoping that'll work. But there are a few colours that sort of blend together nicely with it I've got in my sort of scraps bin, and there's 55 grams of this one as well, so I can use that sort of around the edge of the cuff to finish it off if I haven't got enough of this main colour. So this is the colour that I used to go round all the squares and to join them together, so hopefully I'll have enough to do that, but I think it'll still look nice if I edge it in this colour. I have got a darker purple as well, which I've got quite a lot of left, but I think I might use the lighter one. I shall see. But isn't it fabulous? Right, I'm going to try this on so you can see what it looks like. But obviously there's no cuffs and front band yet, but you still get a good idea of what it looks like. obviously this has got to have a little bit of an inch or so of ribbon on there, and it hasn't been blocked as well, so they're a bit curly, especially these sort of half squares, triangles. So what I did in the pattern is that they have another square for the full length sleeve, but I reduced it by 1 square to make it 3/4, so that when I've done my ribbon around the arm, that should come in nicely. I'm hoping if I do it quite sort of snug around my arm, that'll bring the arm in a little bit. So I also made a modification in that there is a bat wing shape to the original design, and one of the ladies, I can't remember, I think it's Sarah, I will leave a link to it, said that she removed hers, so I removed one of the squares from the underarm to make it nice and snug. And I find, because I've got quite a big bust and body size, that my arm always tends to come up a bit narrower anyway, so I don't have an issue with the arm not fitting. There is plenty of room in there, but if you've got sort of bigger arms compared to your body, then you might have an issue by making this modification, if that makes sense. So, look at that. Isn't that a lot better? I'm so excited about this. I feel like the whole sewing in the ends took me such a long time. It must have literally took me 7 evenings of sewing in to get all the ends sewn in. Now normally I would do them all in the same time as I'm making the crocheted squares, but I started doing them when I was out and about, and I thought, well, I'll sew the ends in later, and then because I hadn't done those first few, I just decided to do them all and then go back and sew the ends in. And I really don't mind sewing ends in at all, to be honest. I was just frustrated that I wasn't getting to join them together, because it's so exciting joining the pieces together. So there are, I think, 38 full squares in this version of the cardigan. I think it was 14 half and 2/4 squares to make this version. So there's 2 versions of the cardigan, because you had 2 different sizes in the original pattern, and it's a free pattern, and I chose the smaller size because I wanted to get it, because I basically, when I did my squares in the lighter weight yarn, that come up to I can't remember what it came up to the right size. When I multiplied the measurement of the corner to corner, I worked out the width of the body. Actually, that smaller size with that square size that I'm using worked out like as if it was no positive ease, so that's why I've done that. Obviously the bigger size one, I could have done that for some more positive ease, but it was just sort of playing with the maths and working out what I wanted. But I'm really pleased with it so far. Very, very pleased. I don't like my cardigans to be too big because it makes me feel sort of bigger. I think because I've got quite sort of narrow shoulders compared to the rest of me, it just makes me feel better when something's a little bit fitted. But oh my goodness, how good is this already? I'm really pleased with how it's come out. It's come out quite long actually. Once I've got that rib on, that'll come just over my bum. I'm not sure how much you can see of that, but that'll be in a nice position. I think that the cuff will be in a nice position, and obviously when I've got that ribbon on here, I'll be able to put some buttons on to join that together. So I'll probably do about 1 inch of ribbon on either side. Hopefully I've got enough of that yarn, but like I said, I can use a combination of it. So there we go. Ooh, so very exciting. So I am going to take it off because it is a little bit warm in here. Not quite sweater and winter weather in my house at the moment anyway. It's been sort of up and down, so it's definitely getting cooler than it was though. So my next section is sewing. I'm going to get Barbara over to show you something that she's got on. Thank you very much, Barbara. Now Barbara is wearing this gorgeous dress. Now you would not believe it, a little while ago I showed quite a few of my nanny's dresses. So my nanny died before I was born, and we shall say that's more than 40 years ago, because obviously that implies how old I am. But she died before I was born, and all her wardrobe and dresses was left in the house that she left to my dad's brother. So my dad's brother had left her room how it was with all her clothes in the wardrobe, but he was unwell, so I was able to take some of her dresses previously. But now he's passed away, we had to clear her house out. So these are, I've got some more of her clothes to show you. I absolutely love this dress. This is probably my favourite out of the new batch. There's only a few, it's just that we found them at the back of the wardrobe. And I just wish this fit me because I love it, absolutely love it. It's got this beautiful blue fabric with the two fabrics that go together absolutely perfectly. I don't know whether, so my nanny probably didn't make this herself, but my aunties, my Auntie Norma and my Auntie Sylvia made a lot of clothes, and they made lots of clothes for their mum, my nanny, so they probably made it. And I'm looking at this and thinking how perfect it is. You can see how the seams, they match really nicely, and if you look even on the zip as well, you can see where it matches really lovely, and they've put the zip in really beautiful. I will show you in a minute once I've taken it off, Barbara, but all the seams are sort of hand sewn, which is really lovely. You can actually see the herringbone stitches, which is really nice. So my aunties never had an overlock. I remember chatting to my Auntie Sylvia when I'd sort of just got back into sewing again, sort of after I'd left uni, and we were saying about I really wanted to buy myself an overlocker, and she was like, oh yes, I really wanted one of those, but she obviously never did get around to buying one of her own. So my Auntie Sylvia used to make wedding dresses for a living, and she did teach me how to sew a little bit when I was at school, but then I sort of didn't have chance to do any sewing when I went to university and that. But when I come back I did start to sew again, so we did have some conversations about sewing, but by then she didn't do a lot. She was getting on in years. So I love this dress. So I have been looking to see if I can find the exact pattern for this, but I don't think I can. I think in the first batch I showed you guys a few years back, there might have been one with this pattern, with this panel across here. There's like a waist seam, and then a point that goes up. I don't really know what it's called, but I can't seem to find a pattern that actually has got this shape, so I may have to use another pattern and modify it so that it's got a point, because I think it's lovely with the contrast fabrics here, with it going pointing up rather than it just being a straight line. So this fabric to me feels like a sort of a double jersey thickness. It's quite a thick jersey fabric, and I should imagine that there is some cotton and polyester in there by the feel of it. But it is a gorgeous, gorgeous fabric combination, and I'm just so annoyed that I can't fit in it. I might be able to show you on the bottom, actually, on the skirt. So it's an A-line skirt, and you can see, oh, we won't be able to see this close up. I'll have to take it off, Barbara, so you can see that these beautiful hand-sewn herringbone stitches. But obviously, because it's a jersey fabric, they've not overlocked or finished the edges because it's it didn't need it, it didn't fray. They've just used the herringbone stitch to hem it there, and you can see how lovely they've pressed open the seams at the side and sewn it so lovely and well. So this dress comes, I reckon, probably just under the knee, and my nan used to have such an elegant, she used to wear such elegant clothes, so this fits right in. I don't know if I've got some pictures of exactly this dress, but I know that I do have a picture of my nanny that I can pop in so you can see her and my aunties and how elegant they looked years ago. But I just wanted to show you this. This is a long sleeve version. If anybody knows that there's a pattern, a vintage sewn pattern, which has this panel at the front, please let me know. I'd love to see if I could get hold of it, and then I shall show you how it's been hemmed inside. So thank you very much, Barbara. So you can see those beautifully stitched herringbone stitches. They're absolutely gorgeous. So the pattern that I found previously, which I did buy a copy of, was the K2833 Simplicity pattern, and it's got a slightly different shape under the bust, but it's quite similar everywhere else, so I may be able to adapt that one to it. But if you know of one that's closer, please let me know. I'd also like to ask, would you like to see a separate video with all my nanny's dresses together so that you can sort of see them as a whole, or would you just like to see a little bit each week, one or two each week? The next section I've got is Gadget. Now I've bought this Gadget because I thought I could make Jensen a rug for his room. So these Gadgets are the Clover fabric tube maker, and it just so happened I saw a video tutorial of this on Instagram, and I thought, oh, I know my wholesale sells clover stuff, so I've ordered a few. I don't know if I'm going to stock them because I feel like it's a very specific product for a certain thing, but I did have to buy a pack of 3, so there are going to be a couple on my website if you do want them. So you can basically make this tube, and you can make the tube into like a rug or a mat like this. So I thought I'd make one for Jensen's room, and I just had a little bit of a go with this tube maker, just with some scraps of wadding, which the wadding's just run out just here, and some actual jelly roll pieces that I've got left over. So it's actually really, really easy. So you have these 2 pieces here and 2 pieces there fitted inside each other. So it actually makes the tube, you can pull it down and then you can just stitch that tube together, and then you can join it on a second round of stitching. But I just thought that this was really cool. I've actually just run out of the wadding, but if I pull this down you can see how the sort of action works, and you can just literally, you don't have to keep pressing and ironing it into place if you wanted to use this. So you can see how that is ready to stitch there, if you obviously hold it together once it's come out of the tube maker. So I would definitely recommend these, but obviously it's quite a specific sort of function, so I only bought a couple more, basically because I wanted to just have a go myself. So there will be 2 more on my website if you are interested, but I do actually think that they work a lot better than I thought they would, and I will leave a link to like a little video tutorial so you can see exactly how to use it. To be honest though, the instructions that come with the box actually make a lot of sense. It's very easy to follow, but sometimes it's nice to see it on a video, isn't it? So I will put a link to that as well, but it does work really, really well. It's just for a specific thing though, so I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who's not going to go make a load of rugs and like coasters and things like that. So it depends what you want to make really. So that is my gadget for this week. Works really, really well for what it's supposed to do, but obviously you're limited to what you can make with it in the end. Obviously you've probably got loads of ideas that you might have loads of ideas that you can make with it, but I thought you're sort of limited to sort of rugs and coasters and placemats and things like that, but can you guys think of any other ideas? So that is the gadget for this week, and I have the what's occurring section now. So I'm going to talk about some giveaways in a minute, but first of all I wanted to mention that I'm doing a little pop-up shop with Blue Fern Yarn. So she's organised an afternoon tea, and it is on the 2nd of November, and it is at Norfolk Mead in Coltishall in Norfolk, if anyone lives quite close. So you can buy tickets from Shannon's website for the afternoon tea itself, but I'll be doing a little pop-up shop there as well, which I'm very excited about. Of course I'm excited about the cakes as well, because I do like a bit of cake. So that's on the 2nd of November. There's only 2 limited spaces, so make sure you pop over to Shannon's website if you are interested in that. I will leave a link to that in the description bar down below. So we've got 2 Barbara's Day Out meetups organised. The first one is October the 26th at Venetia's Yarn Shop in Fakenham, and that's 2 till 4. So that one will obviously be in a lovely yarn shop, so you can have access to purchasing lots of lovely yarny goodness as well, which I'm excited about. And we've also got a second Barbara's Day Out at Dunstan Hall. So I wanted to keep the Dunstan Hall one going because some people might find it difficult to get to Venetia's in Fakenham, because it is quite a distance for some people. It's sort of the other side of Norwich. So the Dunstan Hall meeting is the 17th of November, 2 till 4, and I will pop details in the description bar down below so that you can make a note of that if you need to. So those are the sort of meetup things that I wanted to mention, but we do have some giveaways to talk about. So the subscriber giveaway for September, I've drawn for a winner, and the winner is called Kimberly, and I have emailed you already to say that you are the winner, but I've just said to make sure you come and check that I call your name on here, just to make sure that you know it's definitely me who's emailing you and not some weirdo trying to get your details. So congratulations, Kimberly. I've just asked you to give me your postal address so I can post that prize out to you, and you'll be getting the September yarn clubs, which are the music from the movies, sock set and the Popstars mini set. So that's one giveaway done. Last time I did a proper podcast episode, I announced that it was my 8-year podiversary. Oh my goodness, 8 years. Madness, isn't it? So I'm doing a giveaway for that, and I've drawn out of the comments, I've used a random comment picker, and it's picked Carol Collinson 8245, and she said she was, because I asked everybody to tell you what sort of project they were working on. She's got scrappy socks and a crochet Gryffindor dog coat. So congratulations, Carol. If you like to pop me an email on ellie@crafthousemagik.co.uk, and you can just let me know your full name and postal address so I can get that prize sent out to you. I will always announce the winner on the podcast, as well as sending you an email. So if you do get an email, look out for that next podcast episode, and you should hear your name shouted out rather than me just emailing you. The third giveaway is actually on Instagram. So if you haven't seen it yet, I've put a post on Instagram of a gorgeous fat quarter bundle, which is here. Ta-da! So this is a beautiful Liberty print fat quarter bundle, and they have actually gifted me this, but I thought, do you know what, it would be really nice to have a giveaway. So I stock Liberty print fabric, and they sometimes give you little samples ahead of time before that collection's been released. So this collection is out in October, so this is like the spring, so they obviously bring it out a few seasons ahead, so that you've got a chance to sort of sew with it for the season ahead rather than the one you're in. So that's not out till October, but I just thought it'd be really nice to do as a giveaway now. All you need to do is go over to my Instagram account. If you make sure that you follow me, you like the picture, and you make a comment on the actual post just to say what you'd make with it, what could you potentially make with it. So it'll be interesting to see all the different things you guys put. So I've got quite a few entries already, but I'm not closing it until Tuesday next week. So make sure you add your entry in, and then I'll draw a winner on Instagram, so you'll be able to see the winner. So it's a fat quarter bundle, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different fabrics. So that's a really nice little present. That's a really nice amount of fabric to make a project with. So there we go, that is the third giveaway. I'm going to make a habit of doing more giveaways, I think, because I do love sending people things and bringing a little bit of joy to people's lives. So the next section is the shop update. So the October yarn clubs aren't actually out until September the 27th at 7 PM GMT, but I thought I'd just mention what the colourways are going to be. I haven't had a chance yet to do the swatches for the colour of the month, but the colour of the month is going to be this one. It's going to be the colour of the month for October. And it's based on the song People Are Strange, and I was inspired by the version by the Echo and the Bunnymen, which is from Lost Boys. So it's a little sort of Halloween thing, but not too much. My mum said basically she wanted to see some ochre colourways, so this has got a bit of ochre in it, tones of a couple of different browns, and then some splashes of red as well. So I thought that would be very representative of People Are Strange, from the Lost Boys soundtrack by Echo and the Bunnymen. So there we go. I will have swatches done by next week, which I'll pop on the stories on YouTube and also my Instagram account, so you'll be able to see how it knits up. But that is People Are Strange. My music from the movies movie focus for October is going to be Hocus Pocus, because I love a bit of Hocus Pocus. I always have to watch it every year. I don't really like really scary horror films, but that is just so much fun. So this time it's going to be on Hocus Pocus. For the music from the movies sets, you can have a single skein, a sock set, or a shawl set, out of a range of bases, so you can check out the different choices on the listing. The Popstars mini sets are inspired by Tina Turner for October. The Popstars mini sets are obviously, each set goes together, but the Popstars minis are supposed to go together as a whole as well for the whole year, so that you could use them in a blanket. I'm knitting the Popstars blanket in all the Popstars colourways for this year to showcase them all, and it'll be exciting to see that at the end. So those won't be available until the 27th of September, but I will leave the listing open until the 20th of October, and they will be shipped on the 25th of October, because I'm going to be crazy busy with Advent. So I've just pushed it along a week just to give myself a little bit more leeway with the advents, because I want to get those out by the 18th of October. And then I've got the next week to deal with dyeing advents. So obviously I want the pre-orders to come in before then. So that is all the Yarn Club's news, but I will have, by the time this video goes live, I will have restocked some of my higher knitting needles. Now higher I've had an issue with some of the stock for some of the sizes, especially the sharp needles, for a while, and they've just restocked some of those, so I've managed to get hold of most of the sizes now that were missing out of my stock in my shop, so I'm pleased about that. So that's restocked. There might be a couple that are still missing because the warehouse still hasn't got any. If in the future, if you do see some are missing, just drop me an email just to nudge me a bit so I can ask the warehouse if they've got more stock of a particular size, if you are after that particular size, because sometimes they go out of stock for a while and then suddenly they're back in there and they haven't told me yet. But this time they sent me an email, so great. I've updated that. I do have one of the Go-Go Dynamo kits in stock in the shop, and this is the 1000 Years colourway. I ended up dyeing one too many of this colour set, so this is the only Go-Go Dynamo kit I have in the shop. The rest I've already dyed and shipped out. I just made one too many in this colourway, so there's one left over if anyone is interested in it, and it's just in the merino yarn base. It's this one here, so it's ready to ship, ready to go out. So there we go, that is all my shop update information. I will obviously have those fabric tube makers in the shop as well, but there will only be 2. If people think, oh actually I'd really like to see them in the shop, please let me know, because I can get hold of some more. It's just that I'm not 100% sure whether lots of people will want these, because they are quite a specific thing. I suppose you could use them for bag handles as well, but I've not tried how sturdy it is. So I'll perhaps test them out and see, and decide whether I should stock more or not. But there will be 2 in stock by the time this video goes up. So now it's over to you, Jensen. Well, Jensen's feeling a little bit poorly today, aren't you, Jensen? You're still smiling, oh bless you. He's been back to toddler group for the last few days at the beginning of term. And you caught some germs, I think, haven't you?
Yeah.
Bit of a cold.
Yeah, so he's got my Cozy Memories blanket here, haven't you, sweetheart?
What shape are these?
Square.
Squares, yeah, well done.
Yeah, I want.
There's a yellow one here, isn't it?
Is there another yellow one?
Yeah.
What colour's this one?
Yeah.
That's orange.
Oh, right, okay. Well, you can find another yellow one with Daddy. Can you say bye-bye to everybody on the camera?
Bye.
Ah. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and ding that notification bell if you want to get notifications whenever and the new videos come up. So I shall see you next week. Bye.